Welcome to the web series show. On today's episode, we'll meet the creator of the Marriage Counselor. Now, what I really like about this show was his advanced marketing campaign. I found an article written about the web series, and that led me to the trailer, which was funny and entertaining. Let's take a look.
Like you said, small changes can lead to big improvements.
No, I really said that.
I'm sorry!
Boys will be boys.
Really?
Oh, I don't think that's the right bean.
Brilliant, trash. Trash, brilliant. Strike that. Reverse it.
What?
What? I'm putting my shirt back on.
And that is how you do the bouncy ball trick.
The Marriage Counselor was I started working on a job and I met a writer, and he said he had a couple of scripts and I was like, sure, I'll read them. And his name's Raymond Creamer. And so yeah, I met Raymond through the job, and he sent me basically a folder of scripts, and it was like 2 or 3 features, and then this short wacky film called The Marriage Counselor, and it was kind of like a dark comedy and was really weird, and I was just like rolling laughing. And so I met with him. We went and had dinner the next night, and I was like, have you ever thought about making this into a web series? And he's like, no, I just planned on throwing it away. And I was like, well, we should, try to develop it. Maybe this could be a project, because we'd never worked together. We'd only known each other for a couple weeks. And I was like, well, it'd be kind of cool to, work on a project together. And I was like, well, let's develop a couple of more episodes. And so we got 6. We cut one for the first episode because it was way too big for the, for the realm of the world we built up for the first season. And so we ended up with 5 episodes, and that's what starts premiering on Valentine's Day. So, yeah. I mean, I'd never really thought about doing a web series because it was the realm of it was kind of weird. Everything I'd seen was like 2 or 3 minutes, and and so you had to wait a week for it to come back out. And I was like, that's way too much time for me to wait for 3 minutes. And so with these, they were like 6 to 8 pages, or some of them were even 10 pages, so they were longer forms. And so I thought that we could keep the attention span, for 6 to 8 minutes, and then, for a week later. And so we have, the content coming out on, every Tuesday, and then, excuse me, and then if you put something in between it, like some kind of buffer, or I noticed like a lot of web series were doing like these little, little snippets in the middle, where they had like the main character and they would be doing, and so we were thinking about doing tips for a healthy marriage, and it's a very unconstructive way to what you should be doing to help your marriage. Right. And so, but it's a little buffer in the middle of it, so you have stuff on Tuesday, on Friday something else comes out, the next Tuesday it comes out, so you're not waiting 7 days, you're getting something, and we're always updating like content on our Facebook and stuff with behind the scenes photos and interviews, so we're bridging that gap so people can keep an interest. Because I thought that was the hardest thing, was going to be keeping interest, in 7 days. I'm not a writer. I did a feature before I graduated college that I did write, and that was when I realized I wasn't a writer. And so this is the first project that I've actually been just a director on, and so it was a very nice experience. We had a writer, we had like I said, writer Raymond Creamer. My director was Kenny Keeler, very talented guys, and being able to just let him do the writing, let him do the DP work, and then letting me direct and worry about just a story structure was a lot of fun, because that's what I've wanted to do, and usually I'm not blessed to do that because it comes down to budget constraints and somebody falls out or. Yeah, and this was great. I mean, we shot 5 episodes, and it was a lot of work, and we were shooting in a room smaller than we're physically in right now for the first 2 episodes. So, but yeah, so that's how that came. Kenny Keeler was the director of photography, and his company, No Town Media, was they're an up and coming company that does a lot of music videos and corporate stuff, and so they hadn't done anything narrative yet, and so when we had this idea, I didn't own a production company, and I wasn't going to start one just for one project, and Raymond was also, he's a writer, so I don't know why he would have a production company by himself, but so we teamed up with them, and we're like, we'll use your guys' resources and our resources, and then we'll put your guys' logo at the bottom of it, and so basically this ended up being their first thing on IMDb, so everything kind of works out, and it's been a great, I've worked with Kenny on a couple other projects now, and so it's been a great little, usually when you get in these kind of projects, you get to make a lot of good friends and stuff, so, and that's been the situation with this one as well. Yeah, some of the challenges we faced, the casting was actually very simple. The person that played the marriage counselor, when I read the first episode, I had a feeling he would be like, I was like, oh, I got the guy. And I told the writer, and he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I got the guy. I'm like, let's do a casting, call just in case. But yeah, so we set up a casting call in Hollywood at Cast, and we had there was 12 or 15 people that came in. And as soon as he read, I was like, yeah, I was right. But yeah, so that was easy, and then we were able to cast a lot of very talented people for the couples, and we even had weird ones where we had a guy that was a tap dancer, and Ray, the writer, he wrote that specifically for somebody. He's like, no, I got the tap dancer, don't worry about it. And so yeah, so the casting went really well. The biggest challenge would probably have been we lost our location for the first 2 episodes. So we shot the first 2 episodes, and then we lost the location for it, and it's supposed to take place all in one room for 5 episodes. And so we were like, well, what are we going to do? And I refused to take it to the new year, and so that was, just me being, bullheaded, and was like, I'm not going to do it. But I promised everybody when we started, I was like, we won't be doing this past January, or, past December 31st. And so, but we lost the location, and the DP was like, well, we can shoot at my house, and he had a big open front room that kind of looked similar, not really, but it was still nice enough that we could fit it into the story, and we basically made it like an arc of the story that the marriage counselor moves to this new location, but we never say anything about it. He's just already moved in. So I think people are going to enjoy the show, and I think it's going to, be laughs, and if it ends up being a quotable show, which I think it's going to be, then we did our job, because that was all we wanted to do in the beginning, was just get stuck in people's heads.
Well, thanks so much for coming in to talk to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what I'd like to highlight from today's interview with Jerry was he told us that he was able to focus in on his job as a director. He hired a good DP, a sound person, makeup, wardrobe, and that allowed him to focus in on working with the actors and getting the performance that he wanted. Sometimes as web series producers, we try to wear too many hats, we try to do too many jobs, and that ends up making our episodes and our series suffer. So if you can focus in on what your job is, you're going to turn out with a better product. I'm James Tucker, and you've been watching The Web Series Show. You can watch the full uncut episode on our website, thewebseriesshow.com.